The four letters, right? You know, ESPN. Used to work there for over a decade. So I know what's going on in terms of this story. But this caught me off guard, the headline. Stephen A. Smith may get fired. I was like, what? Clickbait. Clicked on it, though. Clickbait works. Then I read ESPN's latest round of layoffs will have no sacred cows, meaning everybody from top on-air people to big-time executives are being scrutinized, with the cuts expected to be finalized in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to read through this and comment on it. So it's going to be a different weave than our typical. The moves are part of layoffs that CEO Bob Iger at Disney announced were coming across all the company's units. Last month, Iger said that 7,000 jobs will be eliminated across the board. Damn. The direction of ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro, heads of departments have been told, scrutinize your divisions and make them as efficient as possible. You know what that means. Cut off all the fat. Now, we've seen them pay a lot of guys there. Troy Aikman making 18, Joe Buck 15, Stephen A. makes 12. That's the top dogs over there in terms of salary. And Pat McAfee of the Pat McAfee Show on YouTube and the FanDuel is also looking to go to a network, and ESPN is in that sweepstakes as well. That always catches people off guard. Wait a minute. Y'all trying to cut 7,000 jobs and cut back, obviously, on payroll, but then about to pay somebody else. Welcome to big business. They still have to invest in their future. Okay, so now the belt tightening is happening, even though they paid $2+ billion to the NFL for their rights. Okay, we get that. But now you can already see some of the issues going on. They say Chris Fowler, who I love, he came to Columbia and interviewed me, and that was huge for me. That was the biggest name reporter that came, and I remember him from day one. He's making $3 million a year, they say. Already the negotiations are stalling, and he deserves much more money because that dude nails it. However, because of these budget cuts, sometimes literally or just in perception, they could have a stalemate. Why? Oh, we got all these cuts. We can't pay you what you deserve. That's kind of the game, the poker play right here. All right, now they've been through cuts before, right? 2015, they went through them. 2017, 2020, they went through all these cuts, and they used to be Teflon. Now, ESPN is a cash cow for Disney, but before in their reports, they would keep them together and keep it absorbed. So you never knew how much ESPN was making because it was always absorbed under the Disney umbrella. Well, they're saying now going forward, they're going to keep those things separate so that you can now see how much ESPN is making. Now, who do they say is off limits? Even though the headline says Stephen A. Smith may get cut, he's off limits. Trust. Scott Van Pelt is off limits, according to these sources. Now, who is not off limits? Let's talk about the people not off limits. It's the 7-figure hovers. Like you're making $850, you're making 1.2, you're doing shows, you're doing the car wash, and you know, frankly, you don't move the needle. Like they can live without you. That's what you got to think. And in the comments, I want you to tell me who are those people. I don't have the type of energy to put somebody's name in that until their name is that, right? That's not how I'm built. So once I know somebody is, I'll say their name. But right now, the guesswork, I think that's unfair to them. But think about who is on a show. And you're like, yo, if I watch that show tomorrow, they're not on there, I'm good. Those are the people that are going to be in trouble. A lot of them have names. A lot of them have faces, maybe even household. But they're not Stephen A. Smith. They're not Scott Van Pelt. You know, they're not a franchise in themselves. So now you're going to have to start looking at, like in basketball, who's the number 2, number 3 player? Got to start looking at that guy, and that may be the one who gets cut or traded. Some of the people that were cut before, let's talk about like in 2017. Remember Ron Jaworski? Mark Stein, I remember Mark Stein. Trent Dilfer, to me, still the best football analyst ever. I don't understand, but he kills it in his own lane, not only coaching, but also online. But it just took me back. You know, you look at all these shifts. This didn't happen when I was at ESPN. It didn't affect me. And it didn't affect me at FS1. I don't hear about sweeping changes over there. But that's a boutique shop compared to the behemoth of ESPN. But when you hear about these things, because a lot of these people are going to be friends, they're going to be peers of mine, really unsettling. One, they will give you a parachute, right? They don't just cut you because frankly, in negotiations with a broadcaster, it's a guaranteed contract. You're going to get your money. They'll do a buyout for you at the same time. But going to a major network, that's what it is. It's an employee relationship. And they always have the end say. They always have the last word. I got a little fatigued of that, frankly, being under their thumb in terms of you can hear of all these changes. And those changes are not just financial to the payroll, to, oh, you know what, we're going to have to make budget cuts. Sometimes it's to shows. And for us, it was Speak for Yourself. That was, people keep coming at me, and I'm like, dog, that used to be Colin Cowherd's show. That he brought on Jason Whitlock. Colin left. Jason Whitlock left. Then it was Whitlock and me. Then it was me and Acho. I left. 3 guys have left that show, and now it's Acho and Joy and Shady, and then it's Slick Rick and Dan. Is his name Dan? So those guys, no disrespect, Cowboys reporter, but I ain't played well for the Cowboys, so I forgot you. But that's how it goes. Financially, things change. Like themes of shows change, names of shows change. All these things are fleeting. And that kind of gave me a little more courage and a little more foresight into you need to do your own thing, man. And that's why I'm a partner at Brinks. And that's why I'm doing it here through all my socials. And that's why I am holding my own IP. Because I'm like, yo, I can't just let Bob Iger wake up one day and Jimmy Pitaro said, okay, sir. And the next thing you know, MJ is like, Daddy, where the candy money? Like, yo, can't happen like that, man. Got to keep those talents protected. So interesting to see what happens at ESPN. You guys in the comments, tell me who you think are the ones that if you watch the show tomorrow, you miss them, but you'll still be watching this show.